All right, title says it all, so I'm just going to jump right in. It is my opinion that the Mr. Beast team is engaging in a deliberate cover up rather than respond on merit or substance to virtually any of the business allegations regarding predatory practices, child exploitation, illegal lotteries, or rigging competitions. These are my opinions based on evidence and behavior I'm witnessing. However, when you go through and see all of it as one cohesive picture, it gets pretty damning. I'll start with background. Mr. Beast, the world's largest YouTuber, has been facing criticism and scrutiny over what seem to be three developing situations. First, a former employee named Chris Tyson was engaging in wildly inappropriate behavior on a Discord server with minors present, which led to a massive trove of messages being leaked online, which are extremely damaging to the credibility and reputation of the entire company. Second, a former employee, going by the screen name Dogpack404, released a nearly hour-long video about illegal lotteries, underage gambling, and the rigging of competitions, which got about 8 million views and counting so far. And third, on the set of Beast Games, which is a $100 million game show production funded by Amazon, allegations came forward about contestants getting injured, unsafe conditions, lost medication, missing personal belongings, and much more. In essence, inappropriate, possibly criminal behavior by one of his employees towards minors. Predatory, possibly criminal behavior by Mr. Beast himself with regards to merchandise promotions, as well as overall business atmosphere. And lastly, safety, or lack thereof. I'll try to go fast here. On the subject of Ava Chris Tyson, the most recent development is that the initial Discord messages have now been taken offline. Previously hosted on GitHub, the messages are just no longer available, with widespread speculation about why exactly they've been deleted. Obviously, nothing on the internet ever fully disappears. The leaked messages are still available in a variety of other locations, but the primary place, that is the initial platform where they were hosted originally, has taken them down. I don't know if this was because of Mr. Beast, his team, or his overly aggressive legal representation, which I'll discuss in just a minute here, but whatever the reason, they're gone. I do want to make something clear, however, in the interest of being thorough. It's entirely possible that the leaks were removed because they simply violate GitHub terms of service. Directly from their TOS page here, quote, GitHub Pages is not intended for or allowed to be used as a free web hosting service, end quote. However, at this point in time, we simply don't know. All I can say for certain is that the leaks have been taken offline on GitHub. Next are the allegations of illegal lotteries, predatory business practices, and rigging competitions. This is where it gets spicy. The former employee, Dogpack404, who initially sparked off this entire controversy, has been sent not one, but two different cease and desist letters by two separate law firms, asserting that he has disclosed sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information regarding the company's business operations, as well as defamation. I've talked a bit with Dogpack404 in the background. He's got things well handled, he has legal representation, etc., but the fact that the letter focuses on breach of non-disclosure, emphasizing that he is disclosing sensitive, confidential, and proprietary information regarding the company's business operations, makes me think that what little they might actually be able to dispute is inconsequential in the grand scheme. Cease and desist letters like this, especially ones that emphasize breach of non-disclosure contract, are intimidation tactics. I've experienced things like this myself before. One of the most prominent examples would be a company called Celsius Network, where I discussed the shady business dealings of the company openly, which resulted in a cease and desist letter being sent to me. They hyperfixated on a single small factual error, attempting to leverage that error into the silencing of my voice, which didn't work, obviously. I came back at them harder, and eventually the company declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy because it was a Ponzi scheme. The founder, Alex Mashinsky, has been arrested and charged with fraud. I'm no stranger to the process of speaking truth to power and having that power try to shut you up. That is precisely what this looks like to me. The second cease and desist letter, from an entirely different law firm, by the way, focuses on defamation, while still mentioning the non-disclosure agreement, which is what I want to really draw attention to, because I myself, obviously they've requested anonymity, have talked with a current Mr. Beast team member who said that the company has terrifying non-disclosure policies aimed at making sure that no one ever speaks out publicly. In addition, Dogpack404 has begun receiving text messages and DMs from a multitude of current and former team members corroborating all of this, with warnings that the company is allegedly gaming out methods of discrediting him or assassinating his character. Even so far as claims that they are possibly looking at hiring private investigators to dig up any dirt they can on him. Quote from another alleged former employee. Not planning on mentioning I ever worked at Beast, but if it did get out, or if somehow, some way I accidentally mentioned it, I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to get sued to all hell, end quote. Remember, I'm talking about the concept of a cover-up, and so far we have multiple cease and desist letters from two separate law firms aimed at silencing a former employee on the basis of violating his non-disclosure agreement in terms of confidential information. The Discord leaks showcasing predatory behavior by a MrBeast team member have been taken down on their primary hosting platform, as well as extremely aggressive non-disclosure agreements well before any of this blew up at all, which appear to be, in my estimation, deliberately constructed to prevent reputation damage, not protect business secrets. Now, in the time since all of this began blowing up, even more has started to bubble to the surface, such as this, where MrBeast ran an Australian sweepstakes event giving away cars, but the format was to buy Feastables chocolate bars, with no regulation on age, and then play a slot machine on your phone. Lots of people got the winning combination, but that didn't matter either, because the app was broken. You would buy chocolate, scan a QR code, play a slot machine at any age, get the 3 cars required to win, and then you didn't win. If any other YouTuber did this, they would be universally despised by the community. Still, not even close to done here, because despite being one of the least flashy accusations for a YouTube video, worker safety is actually a very big deal in all this. Turns out the alarm bells, so to speak, over how MrBeast's company operates itself have been sounding for quite a while. In February of 2024, Time magazine published an article titled "In the Belly of the Beast." A reporter openly discussed the concept of worker safety with paragraphs like this, quote, "Scott Brown, a creative producer who worked for MrBeast from March 2023 to August 2023, says that in order to move fast at MrBeast, they view safety as, like, being overly cautious or a weakness. He helped produce the Train vs. Giant Pit video and believed the safety procedures were insufficient. When he suggested using OSHA protocols for the pit's considerable drop, I was told, 'We don't need to worry about that,' he says. Other producers say they were asked to work with explosives, fast cars, and heavy machinery with very little training on very little notice. Let's just say as an 18-year-old, says Jay Neo, who moved to Greenville from the UK to help on the creative team, it felt weird to be writing on the board days without an accident that needed to be updated every day," end quote. There's more, like the assertion that many employees had signed non-disclosure agreements and would not go on the record for fear of angering a powerful company, further corroborating that atmosphere. But the most interesting thing is that this article didn't go as planned. In my opinion, MrBeast was expecting a puff piece, and when that didn't happen, when the journalist was asking real questions, he cut things short. Further speaking to the problems building behind the scenes, if you look at Glassdoor, which is employees reviewing their employers, we see things like this, quote, "They break OSHA violations like no other. Jumping from barges with equipment, I'm impressed no one has died yet, but there's been injuries," end quote. Or this, quote again, "OSHA and Department of Labor violations rampant. Promotion of unhealthy work-life balance. Cult-like atmosphere promoting complete company loyalty," end quote. Once again establishing that where once the issue was merely a rogue former employee interacting with minors, now the issue appears to be rampant workplace malpractice. Next, however, is a keystone issue that seems to be ramping up even more, and that is the Amazon Prime-sanctioned Beast Games reality show that is being filmed right now in Las Vegas, soon to be switching over to Canada. Remember that part. For the past couple of weeks, various outlets, including Vital Vegas, whom I believe was the first outlet to report on this, have been exposing the terrible conditions of that show. But on social media, a woman named Rosanna Pansino has been leading the charge, talking about injuries, contestants being offered money to sign away their litigation rights afterwards, and other horrifying revelations in general. However, she's not alone, and these are not just random anonymous messages anymore, because the New York Times has now come out with their own piece, which not only corroborates her accusations and prior media pieces from Las Vegas, but also expands on them. It contains details about how some contestants were carried out on stretchers, some were vomiting, passing out, there were broken bones, seizures, or they were getting evacuated to the hospital. Contestants weren't being fed properly, and yet the camera crew was going around to contestants and giving them Feastables chocolate bars and filming them praising the candy. Think about that. They were basically starving contestants, whether deliberate or negligent, and then giving them MrBeast's chocolate bars and filming them eating and praising the candy. What kind of sick fuck is this guy? They were serving food to people that were allergic to that food, and after many contestants were eliminated in brutally violent ways, they were given $1,000 to compensate. Except, no, they weren't. Because when the cameras turned off, they had to give it back. And they were told that the real payment would arrive later, some of them have yet to receive that payment. It's hard for me to articulate just how disgusting and predatory this company seems. Lastly, way down at the bottom, quote, "We are grateful that virtually all of those invited to Toronto for our next production have enthusiastically accepted our invitation," from a MrBeast spokesperson, after they meekly tried to deny most of these issues and preserve the Amazon $100 million cash pipeline to produce this disgusting game show. All of this very obviously corroborates prior allegations and paints a picture of extreme and abhorrent conditions. But remember that influencer that we just talked about, Rosanna Pansino? Yeah, if you go to her TikTok video describing these problems, everything seems fine. But if you VPN yourself over to Toronto, the location of the next Beast games, the video is blocked. I can't say for certain why, but something I can say for certain is that the livestream VODs of his merchandise events, where they very clearly seem to be running illegal lotteries, have been directly pulled down after the accusations came out. These were only fragments, by the way, because pretty much everything having to do with those streams had been scrubbed beforehand, as one of the only content types that MrBeast will create, upload, and then remove, almost like his company doesn't want a public record. Put it all together. The Discord leaks showing predatory behavior against a minor of his former employee get taken down. Multiple cease and desist letters get sent to another former employee who is calling out predatory business behavior. The company has a long-standing, abundantly corroborated reputation of extremely aggressive non-disclosure practices, and now videos criticizing their unsafe game show conditions are being suspended across the world on social media. In the background, clips of their behavior are getting deleted, and all of this is happening as a trifecta of problems come to light, showcasing how the world's largest and most generous social media influencer just doesn't deserve the praise. If I were tasked with finding a single word to describe all of this, I would say wholeheartedly, cover up. Final words. This is not how you respond to your predatory media empire falling apart if it's not actually predatory. If it is predatory and garbage and manipulative, shady, or illegal, keep on doing precisely what you're doing there, MrBeast. That's the message. However, if MrBeast is not just a greedy psychopathic manipulator, the correct response is to publish, or rather republish, the lottery live streams and show the world that there's nothing illegal. They probably can't do that because there pretty clearly is stuff in there, but that's the correct response. The correct response would be to directly address the criticism and say, "We had some mistakes with safety, but here's what we're doing to fix it. We're bringing in this specialist and this other person." Like, there's so many things you can do. And the real mark of a philanthropist would be to give money without a prerequisite that everyone clap for you and notice you and praise you because of how generous you are. Sometimes giving money, if you can believe it, which I know it's a foreign concept these days, doesn't require you to have to exploit the person receiving that money for personal gain. Sometimes you can give something without filming them in their face with 9 cameras and controlling them and preying on the underdeveloped decision-making of children so that you get 200 million views and sell a bunch of chocolate bars as well, thereby making 50 times the money you gave to one desperate person by tricking 100,000 desperate people into giving you theirs. MrBeast is giving a masterclass right now in how to destroy your own public reputation, which I think was flimsy to begin with, but it's all kids and they don't know better. That's it. If you want to support, there's links down below. A special VPN deal if you want one. Big discount there. Also merchandise, social media, locals and Patreon, channel memberships, etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching. Question everything, and have a nice night.